3 years ago, Jamie stumbled upon a recipe which originated in the 70s, known back then as fire cider. Starting off small, making STEEPS one shot in his garage to driving the business forward to winning a Great Taste Award in 2020. Jamie has been busy helping boost immune systems one shot at a time. Jamie, we are delighted to have you with us. Welcome to Talk Business With.
Great, lovely to be here.
Thank you, Jamie. So let's start off from the beginning. How did you stumble across this recipe?
Well, it goes back, actually goes back quite a long way. As a fitness trainer, which is my background, I've got numerous clients that come and see me weekly basis, and I was stumbling across the same issues: gut problems, sleep issues, acne, and it led me to do a lot more research into gut health and immunity, fasting, acid reflux, which a lot of people were suffering from as well, which is really interesting. Use of antibiotics, inflammation, and also the microbiome, sort of the innards of the gut. And everything just came back to the same thing each time, which was maybe if we sorted the gut out, everything would sort itself out. And I'm still a massive believer in that. And actually, if you get to the root of the problem rather than treating the symptom, you have a lot more success. And with my research, I was just doing some online stuff, and I came across this recipe, which was termed fire cider from a lady called Rosemary Gladstar in the 70s. Very sort of a hippie type. I got the impression she was a hippie type sort of person. And she coined the phrase fire cider, which was all these, I would say, magical ingredients. They're just real food. It's apple cider vinegar, horseradish, chili, onion, garlic, turmeric, and ginger. And I stepped back and thought, I quite like the sound of that. That sounds really quite potent. I love spicy food. Yeah. I love something with a kick. So I basically started to make my own with a Kilner jar, I think from my IKEA, and got the veggies from my organic shop, bought some apple cider vinegar, and made my first batch. Purely experimental and just as a bit of fun, really. And it all started from there. I suppose what I really liked about the recipe was that actually I could take it every day. I mean, I cycle my bike every day. I'm outside all the time. I'm in and out of air-conditioned offices. I'm with lots of people who carry lots of other bugs and viruses around. I've got three kids running around my house, which hopefully they're out at the moment, so it's nice and quiet. But so I was like, this is a no-brainer. It really is a no-brainer.
Yeah. So you've mentioned some of the ingredients there, Jamie. Just talk through what they are and how they individually and collectively come together to give you the final flavour that you've got.
I mean, interestingly, the ingredients have been around for hundreds of years, thousands of years, and they've been used for a long time as well. It's a really interesting one because I don't get too massively hooked on what the ingredients can do. There's really good anti-inflammatory properties, the ginger and the turmeric especially. And actually, the turmeric's an interesting one because in the Indian population it has the lowest cases of dementia in the world, which actually, and they eat the most amount of turmeric. So there's a lot of connections there. There's not a huge amount of evidence-based research on the ingredients. Thus, it's a lot of hearsay, especially with apple cider vinegar. People can say, you can do this, you can do that, you can do this. Actually, it's not proven.
Yeah.
It is proven. I think the only bit of research out there that actually does apple cider vinegar does actually help with balancing blood sugar. And also with the acetic acid that's in apple cider vinegar, it helps with the digestion of food.
Yeah.
And what we're finding with people with GERD or acid reflux is as you get older, just like your immune system gets older, your stomach acid actually decreases. So you need a bit more help. And that's where the apple cider vinegar comes in, because it just keeps the acid level of your stomach firing, but also allows you to digest your food properly so that you don't get the regurgitation. And funny enough, acid reflux, people always say, oh, you haven't got it, you have too much acid in your stomach, but actually you don't have enough acid in your stomach. So that's the reasons behind the ingredients. Garlic is known for helping with colds and flus. Horseradish is an interesting one because no one really you sort of know horseradish from the jar and the table with your Sunday roast, but no one really knows what a horseradish actually looks like. Quite a long, but it's pungent and contains a ingredient called singrin, which actually has all the properties. But again, there's little research done on it, so you can't say it will do this, it will do that.
Yeah.
It's together. I the 1 + 1 = 3 effect. I think all these ingredients are very powerful, but together they're quite mighty and really strong.
Yeah, yeah. How did you first start selling these, and what did the business look like back then?
The business, like I said before, it was just for a bit of fun, really. It was I wouldn't even call it a side hustle, because I was a personal trainer. I was helping my wife run her wedding dress business. I was doing some gym consultancy and looking after, 3 kids running around the house. So really, it was just it was done as a hobby. It was just done as a bit of fun. And what products I made, I gave to clients, I gave to friends. I found some bottles, I produced my own labels, and it was really quite basic. There wasn't really an ambition to go, oh, this is going to be the next big thing.
Yeah.
And it actually wasn't until I started doing a little bit more research about the company that was making it in the States, which is a company called Shire City Herbals, and they were supplying 3,500 wholesale outlets across America. And I was like, no one's making it in this country. Maybe I'm onto something. And that's when I started to very gently scale the business. It's still in my garage now. I still make it at home.
Yeah.
And that's where it all started with, just as a bit of fun. Again, it wasn't even a side hustle.
Yeah. 18 months into the business, you decided to start selling on Amazon, and I know you still do now through FBA. For anyone watching or listening that's considered going down the Amazon route, explain the difference and what's been your experience so far.
Amazon's an awesome platform. When I first started as Jamie's Firesider, and it's been through a couple of reiterations since then, I started on eBay because eBay was very simple. eBay, you can post your pictures, you can list it and sell it quite easily. Amazon is a whole nother ball game. If you've got the time to sort of do the research and actually get onto the Amazon dashboard and learn the ins and outs, then fantastic. But I basically went onto a website called People Per Hour, and there's another one called Upwork, where you can find freelancers who are experts. So I enlisted help of an expert to help me get it onto Amazon, to make sure I wasn't wasting my time, I wasn't wasting money, I was doing it properly. I also didn't go onto Amazon straight away because I wasn't happy with the branding of the bottle. As I said, it was Jamie's Firesider, and it took quite a long time to come up with a name. Yeah. And Jamie's Firesider for me just wasn't. It sounded like I was making it at home. And we went through reiterations of names and brand names and everything, and finally landed on STEEPS Firesider, because the steeping is the process which all the ingredients sit in the apple cider vinegar for 12 weeks. And that was the name we landed on. Then we had the labels done, and I thought, okay, I'm ready now to go onto Amazon. I want to give the impression that I'm actually probably bigger than what I actually am, and I wanted it to look good. So I enrolled the help of Glyn, and he got some pictures done, got my pictures up onto the site, and it all started from there. And I actually didn't. That was what's called MFN, which is Merchant Fulfillment Network. So I fulfilled all the orders. Orders came in, I packaged them, boxed them, and sent them out. And with FBA, it's Amazon does that all for you. And I wasn't ready for sending huge amounts of product to Amazon, and because I hadn't scaled up the business, I wasn't producing enough really to warrant doing that. And it wasn't until 8 months later that I started doing that, when I had more vats, bigger vats. I was buying from the wholesaler with all my veg, and the wholesale for the apple cider vinegar as well. But Amazon FBA, I think people love it because people get delivery the next day. It's been a great platform for me, and I think always will be. It's a great shop window because there are so many artisan food producers out there, all with their own websites, all spending a lot of money, but it's so hard to get in front of the people that you want to sell to. Yeah. And we're all trying to do it at the same time. And I personally from my internet surfing habits, you only really visit a handful of websites. You don't visit that many, really, in the big picture. So actually, Amazon is a key, but it's a behemoth. It's massive. The dashboard's quite hard to navigate. Unfortunately, one of those things, you can't talk to anybody if you have an issue. That's a slight problem, but definitely the pros outweigh the cons massively with Amazon. Massively.
You guys have invested in designing your own website. What advice would you have for business owners wanting to sell online, and how have you continued to develop the SEO and your paid ads, etc.?
It's an evolving process. I'm very keen on the KISS principle. Keep it simple, stupid. You can spend thousands on a website, but it doesn't mean anyone will go to it. So you can completely waste your time. It's just really what I've done with the business is try to control the overheads as much as possible, keep my costs all well under control. And actually, if I've spent money, I've gone, what am I going to get for that money? What's the return I'm going to get? Because I don't have a war chest of money to throw at it. So with websites, just keep it simple. I've used some friends that helped. The SEO, the social media is a whole other ball game. It's a really tough one because you get so much thrown at you. You end up sort of sometimes doing nothing. But actually, you just want to choose one channel or a couple of channels to focus on, be that Facebook, be that Instagram, even the TikToks as well. But it really all depends on what your product is. But keep it simple, stupid is probably my and also copy people as well. I mean, might sound not right, but actually look at other industries, other websites, and go, actually, I really like that website. I like how it works. And use the best bits from it. Interestingly, a lot of the fashion websites are all looking the same. That user experience is very similar. You search by brand, you search by size, you search by color. Everything's looking they're all sort of, I think, worked out. There's actually a great winning formula to selling online, and they've all seemed to copy each other.
It's not a case of trying to reinvent the wheel, right? It's a blueprint of success. You mentioned earlier on about the rebrand. Talk us through the process and what was the driver behind this, and what have you managed to achieve through the rebrand?
The driver behind the rebrand was I actually wasn't 100% happy with the word Firesider. And Fireside is an interesting name as well, because when Rosemary Gladstar coined the phrase back in the 70s, Firesider, she wanted the whole community to use it. And the company that I mentioned before, Shire City Herbals, decided that they'd trademark the name.
Right.
So they trademarked it and then sent out cease and desist letters. Is that cease?
Yeah.
To all these people making Fireside, saying you can't use the name. We own it. To which there was an uproar in the community, the hippie community, going, you can't do that. It's like trademarking the word gin or vodka. It's a name that's out there in the ether. And that's how when she invented it, that's how she wanted it to be. Legal claim, it got overturned, and now the word Firesider is back in the domain for everyone to use. I registered the .co.uk Firesider name. Well, it wasn't available at first. Someone had got it in East London, and I put I forgot that I'd done it, but I put a automatic buy on it. Should it ever come available? I got my bank statement through, and it was like £70. I was like, well, what's that for? I was going to go ring up the hosting company and complain, and I realised I'd actually got in and poached the Firesider name, so I got firesider.co.uk, which I was really happy with at the time. But as it progressed, lots of people kept asking me, is it alcoholic? And I was like, no, it's not. It's apple cider vinegar. It's a wellness shot. You take a daily shot. And the word also fire didn't really, I don't know, it just didn't sit right with me. It wasn't really giving off the connotations I wanted. So Firesider together, even though that's what it's generally called, I took a brave move when I spoke to a really good friend, old client of mine, a guy called Jeff Taylor, who's the editor-in-chief of Courier magazine. Great guy to get on your show as well. He I had a meeting with him about a year ago, and he was the one that suggested, how about one shot, the one shot you take every day. Have you had you one shot? It was more of a call to action.
Yeah.
And it was actually what the drink was.
Yeah.
And actually it was like a light bulb moment. Bingo. Yes, I think that's a great idea. We phase out the STEEPS Firesider name and call it STEEPS One Shot. And that all happened around the time that I ran out of stock last April, when the pandemic first sort of started. Sales of STEEPS went through the roof, and I ran out of stock. I thought, okay, now's the time to rebrand and launch in August last year. And it's been really good, because it sort of rolls off the tongue. Have you had your one shot? Your daily dose. I like it. It's worked really well for the business.
Yeah, brilliant. And were you able to take customers easily on that journey? Was there any confusion as you went through the rebrand, or was everybody on board and able to come with you?
Well, that's one of the difficulties with Amazon, is you actually don't know your customers.
Yeah.
And they own the customers. So I actually don't have any demographics on my customers with Amazon at all. And I've sold over 2,000 plus bottles on Amazon, and I haven't got a clue who they are. Yeah. Haven't got a clue. Yeah. However, I've got a good few sales through my website, so I get a good idea of what my clientele is. So it's extremely difficult. And when I was doing the rebrand and I was run out of stock, I did a promotion to all my buyers through my website, that if they invested early, they could get a good discount on the new product that was coming out in August. And they will follow me through. Yeah. And what I've noticed is people that were buying the 250ml bottle, which is 25 shots, were then upgrading to a 75 shot bottle, which is obviously better value, lasts a little bit longer. So I then see sales sort of stretch out and trickle over the year.
Yeah, brilliant. Over the years, you have invested in scaling the business by buying bigger and bigger still steeping containers. What do these do? And do you see a natural ceiling of how far you can scale the business based on the size of these containers?
Oh, the size of these containers is limitless. You can go literally huge vats that they put wine and cider in. But they're I started buying them from the States, and they were quite expensive. They're made with stainless steel 304, I think it is, which is actually a food grade stainless steel. My first one was, I think, about 35 litres. Then I bought a couple more, about 25 litres, then a couple of 50 litres. And then my two big ones I got from Italy last year are 150 litres. Yeah. So I've made batches of about 100 litres of STEEPS One Shot each time. But it's limitless to how big I can go with these vats. It's just managing to get all the organic ingredients, really. And scaling, but I like making it in small batches. It's very doable and manageable in small batches.
Yeah. On that, do you see wholesale as a viable part of your business model going forward? And if so, who would be your ideal retail partners?
Wholesale's a really interesting one, because STEEPS One Shot is quite unique. As in, it's not another kombucha. It's not another flavored water. It's not another gin. If you put it onto the shelf, it just sort of blends in with everything else. So I tested this last year when I spoke to a local organic market, and I gave them 6 bottles to put on the shelf, and they didn't sell. And so I said, oh, that's not great. And I was like, no, that is actually exactly what I wanted to. I didn't want it to happen, but it actually confirmed what I thought, that actually, because the product is unique and no one really knows what to do with it, it just sat there. Yeah. So wholesale is a big part, but it's going to be further down the road when we've got more awareness out, and people actually know what STEEPS One Shot is and what its ingredients are, what it can do. And then that will be the driver behind maybe the likes of Planet Organic, Whole Foods, Waitrose, Marks & Spencer's, Harvey Nichols, Selfridges, again, the ones all people talk about. But I'm also very cautious about these bigger brands as well. And I've seen I've heard, I'm a member of a group on Facebook called the Food Hub, and it's amazing how many of these artisan producers, I wouldn't say desperate's not the right word, but their goal is to get a listing with Sainsbury's, with Tesco's, with the big four. And And one guy had actually written back saying he'd pulled his stuff from it because he was being crushed on margin, crushed on deliveries, having to invest a lot of money. He was working twice as hard and actually making no more money. And so you've got to step back and go, actually, is this what I really want? Yeah. Is a supermarket listing what I really want? And for me, it's about building a community, building a tribe with amongst the people that buy from me. Every package goes out with a personal note, which I think is really important. It's that connection. People buy into you, or into me, into the brand. And that's what people like these days. And I think that's a lot more, say, with Clubhouse, with Facebook, with Instagram. Yeah. It's all about connections and building communities. So Wholesale is there, but rather than me going to the wholesaler, I'd love the wholesaler to come to me.
Yeah.
If that ever happens or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I want to be on the radar of a buyer, and the buyer go, we need that product.
Yeah.
I'm going to get in contact with Jamie and see if he'll supply us.
Yeah. Have you ever watched Dragon's Den and sat back thinking, I could do that?
Oh, I watch Dragon's Den. I say I won't watch it, and I get drawn to it, and I love the concept. Sometimes I think some of the people go on it just to promote their product, not even to get investment. They just want to get it shown to the millions of viewers that watch it. It's not my cup of tea. I would say I'm a private person, but I'd probably approach who's the guy that Dej, the guy who runs the supplement company.
Oh yeah.
Tej Lavani. I think approach him directly and speak to him about investment or distribution and stuff like that. I don't think I'd want to go on a TV show. Yeah, even though I've done lots of TV in the past. I think they have the controlling hand. The dragons, unfortunately, they're the ones that are the ones that call the shots.
Yeah. What has been the worst day in business for you so far, Jamie?
The worst day. The worst day in business is probably when I tasted a sample of my latest batch and all I got was a metal flavour in the back of my mouth. And I was making 4 batches at the time, which is about 400 litres, I think. And I tasted one batch and it was like, that doesn't taste good. Tasted the next batch, that didn't taste good either. And I thought I was being clever. I found a mixer that I could attach to my power drill and mix up the ingredients just to stir them up. Yeah. And the mistake I made was I used a mixer that wasn't food grade, and so the metal of the mixer tarnished and came off into the batch. And basically what I'd done is I ruined 4 batches. I laugh at it now, but you know what? You learn from your mistakes. It was a massive schoolboy error, and I won't be making that mistake again. I sent I did the right thing. I think I did anyway. I took samples from all 4 batches. I sent them to the lab. I said, can you test these for me, please? I'm getting a real metallic taste from them. They tested them, sent them all back to me and said, Jamie, they're fine. That product's fine. You can sell them. However, if you feel the taste isn't right, then that's up to you what you do. And I made the really big decision of throwing it all away, which was the right decision to make. It was I couldn't sell something I wasn't happy with. Yeah. And that's having standards, I guess. And I did think about diluting it but I was like, no, that's it. I made a mistake. I hold my hand up. Luckily it was made early on. It wasn't made when I was making even bigger batches. So it's like I think business is about that, and business is all about learning from your mistakes and moving on, and be able to look back at your mistakes and go, okay, I've learned that. Sure. And anyone who says they don't make mistakes or don't have issues and hurdles it's not true. Yeah. It's not true.
Yeah, for sure. What's been your biggest highlight so far?
I don't think I've had it yet, to be quite honest. I have micro highlights, I think. You know, when you get a letter from a customer saying that they really enjoy it and they give it to their parents, you get emails and reviews. The Great Taste Award was a really nice highlight. Yeah. However, someone, the guys who did my branding did go to me, goes, so you only got 2 stars. Isn't 5 really good? So well, I was like, no, it only goes up to 3. And he made a really good point. He goes, so within the industry, 2 stars is really good because the industry know the scale. Yeah. But a consumer goes, well, it's 2 stars, you know, it should not be 5 stars.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh no. So that highlight, getting the Great Taste Award, the comments from the judges was fantastic. Again, STEEPS is a brand new product. It's a brand new category. Yeah. I don't think any of the judges have probably ever tasted anything like it. It's an infused vinegar with all those great ingredients. So actually, it stands alone by itself, and actually is very, very unique. So getting 2 stars was fantastic.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I go back to my highlight. I think what my highlight might be in the future is my bottle sitting next to a bottle of Worcestershire sauce in every single bar up and down the country.
Yeah.
That would be a huge highlight. STEEPS has got many sort of, what's the word? It can do lots of things. Put it in tomato juice, it tastes like a Virgin Mary. Put it in vodka, you got a great Bloody Mary. I make tea bags with it, with all the ingredients that we don't throw away. You throw it over salad, you make vinaigrette with it. It has so many uses. I'd also love to see it in tomato juice on an airline as well, where actually the most amount of tomato juice is consumed when we start flying again.
Yeah.
If we start flying again.
Yeah. Where do you see the company in 5 years' time, and what is the one big thing you need to do to make that happen?
In 5 years' time, it probably goes back to what I just said, is actually being in every bar in the country next to a Worcestershire sauce, as it uses a mixer. So using cocktails, used in like Joe and the Juice, in their smoothies, within Cycle, the spinning studio, using it in their cafes. I see it being used in lots of different markets, and being a household name maybe. People go, STEEPS One Shot. Yeah, I know what that is. That's the apple cider vinegar drink, isn't it? With all those great ingredients. So, but to get there, persistence, just getting your head down and being persistent. And it's not saying not taking no for an answer, but just getting out there and talking to people and just getting your product known. Because the more people that talk about your product, the more it sort of, all my customers are my ambassadors. And they're the people, hopefully if I treat them well, they talk about my product to 3, 4, 5 people, and vice versa, and the business grows. So yeah, being persistent, I think is a big one.
Yeah. If you could have any person on the planet endorse your product, who would you choose and why?
I don't really have one, to be honest. What gives me the biggest pleasure is as like I mentioned earlier, is getting a review, a personal email, a letter from someone whose life it's changed. Not that STEEPS is life changing, and that's coming on to another thing about talking about the immune system, and there are a lot of products out there that say that it's immune boosting. And I did actually say, oh, STEEPS is immune boosting. But when I stepped back and now think about it more, it's actually the immune system is massively overworked in us at the moment. It's fighting too many fires. Yeah. It's being pulled from pillar to post. Think about your local fire department who's called out every 5 minutes to fight a fire. Yeah. Your immune system is like that. So your immune system doesn't need a boost. It actually needs help. It needs help. It needs someone else to put out the fires. And with that fire department locally, the firemen are getting older and older and older. And that's what happens to your immune system as you get older. Yeah. So STEEPS is there to help the immune system, to take the heat off the immune system. So I feel for a lot of people, anyone who it helps with, who's got a bit of acid reflux or has got some inflammation issues, and if it changes someone's life or makes someone's life easier or better, then those are the people I want to promote it for me. I think so. It's not one person. I mean, we all look at like, we all want one person to go, this is the drink to have, and to push it. But for me, it's the community, it's the tribe that take it. They are the true winners, and the ones that really, really benefit from the product.
Yeah. What have been some of the most helpful resources to help you grow as an entrepreneur over the years?
As an entrepreneur, it's funny actually. I've never really called myself an entrepreneur. I'm sort of a doer. I just do things. I invent things. My brain's always. I've never actually called myself an entrepreneur. When one of my friends called himself an entrepreneur, I was like, but you haven't done anything. It's like, so, but Jeff Taylor, I mentioned earlier, he edits editorial for Courier magazine. I get that every 2 months. I read that from front cover to back cover. I think that's fantastic. I'm a big fan of James Clear. He wrote a book called The Atomic Habits. I do read a lot. I read a lot and pick up lots of nuances from different people. Another great book was The Thank You Economy that Gary Vee wrote many years ago, how he started the wine library, and it's all about customers. And that's, for me, it is all about the customers. So that's given me a lot of inspiration. And there are a couple of others actually as well. There's a guy called Bob Baird, and he I don't know if you've heard of him. He wrote a book called The Go-Giver, and it's all about giving. And when you give, you receive, but you might not receive directly from the person that you're given to. It might come through someone else. And it's a fantastic series of books. The Go-Giver, Selling, the Go. Awesome. I try to read at least once a year because it really just reinvigorates me to getting back onto a sort of level playing field. Yeah. And the other book I read I've got it written down here because I keep forgetting the name. What to Say to Yourself When You Talk to Yourself. And this was a book that I think was written in the late 70s, 80s, and the guy Shad Helmstetter who wrote it, he picked up on something that was amazing. That actually there are lots of people that will, for instance, go and pay thousands of dollars to go and see Tony Robbins talk, but there's only a fraction of those people who are actually going to take what Tony Robbins said and go and do something with it. A lot of people will get completely fired up over a week's course or a weekend's course, and then within a couple of days that's all faded off. And actually, it's what you say to yourself, how you talk to yourself, what you say to yourself every day. It's what motivates you, what makes you persistent. And the book was, even though it was written in the 80s, it was so on the money for what happens today. It's like that guy was so ahead of his time. And you see so many people trying to reinvent the wheel. Yeah. And actually, no one's going to do it for you. You've got to. Yeah. You've got to do it yourself. Yeah. And there's actually one final one. It's a guy called Zach Bush, and he's a board certified doctor from the States, and he did an amazing interview with Rich Roll, episode 353 on Rich Roll's podcast, and that had a profound effect on me about gut health and what's happening to the world as a whole, and how we need to change, and how the level of autism and dementia and Alzheimer's and cancers and inflammation and what's happening to the world as a whole in the last 20, 30 years. And that had a really profound effect on me, and how I live my life, and how I see, again, how I treat the cause of a problem rather than the symptom, and how I think medicine, it has its place, most definitely, but I think many people are looking for the magic pill when actually they can look within themselves and actually sort the problem out a lot easier, a lot quicker. And that leads me back to going, sort the gut out. And I can't say everything else will be sorted, but 70% of your immune system is producing your gut. If you get your gut working properly, you have a diverse diet, you can sort a lot of things out in your body. And it goes to sort of, is food medicine? And
Yeah.
to a point it is, but we're too stressed, we don't sleep enough, we don't exercise enough. So all those things combined, including a shot of STEEPS one shot every day, will help make your life a lot easier.
Yeah. Jamie, I've really enjoyed speaking to you, and it's been fascinating hearing you walk through all of the steps that you've taken to get to where you are today. Before we close, do you have anything else you'd like to add? And also let everyone know how they can contact you and also follow you on your journey.
I'm always contactable by phone, by email. However, I will always get back. And that's one thing I hope to take forward as the business grows, is always to be contactable, reachable. And I always go back to I think it was Pret a Manger many years ago. Julian Metcalf would always put his phone number or his email address on correspondence.
Yeah.
He'd encourage people to get in touch, which I think is amazing. There's always a solution to a problem. Step back from the problem and look at this and find a solution.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we're all a bit too sort of narrow. We need to step back and look at the bigger picture. It might not come immediately, but there is one. Might not be the right one. Also, quite pointy, go with your gut as well.
Yeah.
Go with your gut feeling is very strong. There's a big, massive gut-brain connection, which I don't think we really understand fully, and we're still getting to understand it. But we all know when you've been to an exam and you get stressed, you want basically sometimes want to go to the toilet. That brain gut connection is huge and more powerful than I think we think it is. And the other thing would be it's just not to be vanilla, if that makes sense. Feel you would want to stand out in the crowd, then you have to do something a little bit different. Don't follow what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
It is the easy option. Agreed. Yeah. It's the easy option just to follow. But I think to move your business forward, you just need to stand out and look different. And the customers are key. Yeah. Customers are my business. Yeah. They're my lifeblood, so to speak.
Yeah. Jamie, brilliant stuff. I'm going to make sure that we've got the link to your social media and to your website in the description below. Thanks again for your time.
Cool. Lovely.
Thanks again, Jamie.
All right, David. Thank you very much.